My name is Ivan. I am the founder of Cytonic. Cytonic is the world's first multi-virtual machine blockchain. And we have been building this for the last year, or more than a year. Last summer, we raised our first round, which was more than $8 million in the seed round. And currently, we are live on testnet. And I'm going to show you a little bit on the technical side and on the product side what we are building. So, as many of you know, we have hundreds, if not thousands, of new blockchains. Every time we gather here each year, there is probably like 3 more blockchains or 4 more blockchains which have recently raised. And there is like a countless number of blockchains which are developed but are raising or are not relevant anymore. So the majority of chains are spread across 4 different virtual machines. So we have the EVM, which is the dominant virtual machine and has 90 or 95% of market share. The next and upcoming virtual machine is Solana's virtual machine, which is the SVM, and this has probably like 5 to 10% of market share. And then we have Algorand, we have Cardano, we have Move, which is used by Sui, Aptos, etc. And the issue here is if you are a developer which developed a project, let's say on Near, this project doesn't work on Ethereum. And for example, if you develop the project on Cardano, this project doesn't work on Near. So as long as the virtual machine is different, these projects are not compatible. They cannot work on each other's blockchains. And that's why we have a lot of fragmentation. That's why we have a lot of projects which have raised money, but are kind of right now in a phase where they are kind of in a death spiral or are already dead. There's a bunch of those projects. There is precisely more than 10,000 of such projects, which have built some cool DeFi applications across many networks, and which have no home right now, or like where their home is dying. And the reason for that is you can think about blockchains as independent cities. There is no real bridging in the blockchain because each blockchain is basically running on a virtual machine. It has some sort of storage, and it has like a network layer which is used for security. You can think about it as one independent database, which is decentralized. And there is no communication between chains. That's pretty much a lie. Like all the bridges, what they do is they lock money on one end, unlock it on the other end. And that's happening for the last couple of years. And that's why new entrants in the space, when they come in, they kind of want to use, let's say, USDT, but they have to send it, let's say, on the Tron network or on the Ethereum network or somewhere. In that case, they need gas on Tron, they need gas on ETH, or maybe Solana, which is super confusing because why would they pay gas fees? What are gas fees, etc.? Why are they different? How can I acquire gas fees on one chain, on the other chain? It's a pretty bad UX, and that's why most of the traction we have in crypto is still on centralized exchanges because they abstract away all the complexities of the blockchains. You have one account with your email, you just upload money there, and you can buy any token for whatever you want. You can say Solana against Ethereum. You can trade any basically listed token on a centralized exchange. And they have still, I would say, 70 to 80% of market share of the users. And we are nowhere near of basically acquiring a large enough user number compared to centralized exchanges across all these different blockchains. And what centralized exchanges essentially do, they have contracts or wallets on all of those chains. They manage your capital, they bridge it across for you. But you as a user, you don't want to see that. You don't want to basically participate in that. And most of the users just frankly don't understand how to do it. And so what we are doing now is we are saying, okay, we have developed this project. There is a bunch of chains, right? So let's take all these chains together, put them into one execution environment. So we have right now we are running an EVM and an SVM instance on top of a shared sequencer, on top of our basically layer 1, or it's not a real layer 1, it's more like a security and data availability layer 1. So you cannot execute code there. But the real mission for us is here to say, okay, we are basically improving the UX in a way where it doesn't feel different than a centralized exchange, but it's more decentralized. So the user can come in with any wallet, deposit any type of token he has, and basically use any asset he wants, swap it across each protocol, access protocols which are not deployed on our chain through our partner DeFAI, but also access protocols which are deployed on our chain. So the user experience for the user is basically very similar to Binance or to any centralized exchange, but it's way more decentralized. And we can have new types of DeFi applications here because we are unifying liquidity, and it becomes very easy to, or let's say not easy, but it becomes very, very interesting for new participants like market makers, on-chain market makers, traders, etc., to use these new primitives we are building to basically earn more yield, have less cost, etc. So right now we are working with a couple of the largest market makers in the industry. We have more than $500 million secured in commitments from them. And essentially, here is like a path of what the future will look like. So before that, you would have like your Solana storage, and if you buy a meme coin on pump.fund, let's say, what happens in the backend, some assets are transferred, let's say, from one address to another address. With our new network, you can also use pump.fund together with an EVM address. So you basically can connect your EVM wallet, your MetaMask, whatever. In the backend, you don't see what's happening, but you kind of get the same UX as if you were using Solana. And that changes a lot for users and for user acquisition. And here's a little bit more technical how it works. So basically, our cross-VM swaps allow you to basically perform all these cross-token standard swaps. And we have some flash accounting methods for that. So what we see ourselves is basically we say, okay, Bitcoin created the first digital money, and it was basically a mixture of existing technologies in the market back then. And then Ethereum came across, took what there is like Bitcoin and all the technology Bitcoin has built, and the kind of first wave of coin protocols like Litecoin, etc. And what Ethereum has done is they made it possible to program stuff on top. It was pretty slow at the beginning with proof of work. Then Solana came along and made it very fast. And now we are in a phase where we have like thousands of blockchain, and the next frontier is basically making all those blockchains compatible. If these blockchains become compatible, we have solved basically a major bottleneck and major UX problem in the industry. And there is very good examples for the apps that it makes sense to be accessible on multiple chains. For example, Radiant, which went from Arbitrum to Base, they kind of doubled their TVL within a few days. Same as for GMX, when they were first live on Avalanche, then they went to to Arbitrum, and they kind of 10x their TVL. So it makes sense for apps to be accessible across multiple chains because users tend to stick to their preferred chain. So if someone is onboarded to Base, he will most likely stay on Base. If someone is onboarded to Solana, he will most likely stay on Solana because that's where their wallet is, that's where their knowledge is, that's where their friends are. They will not change their behavior. So basically, if you're an app and you want to attract more customers, you have to find a way how to attract customers from other chains, essentially expanding. And the easier it becomes for you, the more cheaper we make it for you, the more profitable it is. Our network is compatible with most of the RPCs. So with the Solana RPC, the Ethereum RPC, and also the next wave of VMs we're integrating, like Cosm, Wasm, Move, and Near. So basically, we are compatible and identical to all those chains. And we allow integration of any wallet, as I said, like Phantom, Solflare, MetaMask, Backpack, etc. We allow for all the developer tooling there is. So you can basically think about it as a new ecosystem, but it is fully identical to all the existing stuff, but it makes it very easy for developers to access new user bases. Right now, we are running our community app. The community app was launched in November. Right now, we have 500,000 users. And the key reason why we have 500,000 users is because we are live on a bunch of chains. So it's very easy to attract users if you can give them the chain where they are. So we are live on Manta, we are live on all the EVM chains, essentially, Ethereum Layer 1, Optimism, Arbitrum, etc. We are live on Solana. And that is kind of the proof that users want this basically very, very easy onboarding experience, no new wallet, no new network. I have my capital on this chain, or I have my staked asset on this chain. I just want to deploy it and use it. And that's it. I don't want to have any complications. I don't want to pay new gas fees. I want this all to be happen in the backend. So that's basically the proof for this. And what our next goal is basically is converting those users now into performing more actions. For now, they were just staking assets. We want them basically to start using DeFi, AI products, and that's why we are launching a new ecosystem incubator, which is called Cytonic Matrix. So we want to spread these 500,000 users across a couple of protocols we're supporting. 3 of those protocols in DeFi, 3 of those protocols in AI, and 3 of those in gaming. So we're kind of starting with 9 protocols just to kind of give those users more stuff to do. And then the idea is to launch our mainnet in November 2025. So that will be around the time when Cosmoverse is holding their event. We are very aligned with the Cosmos ecosystem, but also with Solana, Ethereum, and all those. And the goal is to launch a token then. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much.